Welcome, everybody, to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show featuring Dr. Carolyn Dean. Join Dr. Dean for the next 2 hours along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty. Join Dr. Dean as she shares with us her vast range of experience, knowledge, talent, and wisdom. Phone lines are now open, and we'll be taking your calls from around the world and here in the USA.
Welcome, everyone, to Dream Vision 7 Radio Network and Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. As we like to say, uniting humankind with universal love, and Dr. Dean with the entire world of those who are seeking to improve their health, their vitality, their well-being through safe solutions and safe strategies. I'm Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty, and I'll be with you for the next 2 hours along with Dr. Dean. And we are here to trip the light fantastic and talk about everything that appeals to you, because I can tell you one thing, Dr. Dean is a listener. She is a hearer of you. And we're so grateful that there's somebody to actually take the time to listen and to learn, to discern your health concerns this evening, and then to give you back some very good practical wisdom about what you can do to subtly or dramatically tweak what you're doing in your nutrition, your fitness plan, whether it's a lifestyle change, whether it's a supplement change, whether it's a dietary change, maybe it's an emotional change that you require. Dr. Dean can usually pinpoint it and then talk to you about it in ways that make sense to you and easy to implement, So we're so happy to have her with us this evening. If this is the first time that you're joining the show, you'll want to have an opportunity to look at her bio and all of her accomplishments at drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's the radio show blog. And there is a long list of them. I've been preparing her CV, which is her level of professional accomplishments, as well as writing a letter of recommendation for her for the Dr. Rogers Prize, which is a coveted prize in her home country of Canada for alternative and complementary medicine. And her list of accomplishments are astounding. We're going to talk about that a little bit more tonight. We're going to talk about the thing that matters the most in the whole wide world, and that is your brain and what it can do for you when it's properly tuned up and has impeccable cellular and mitochondrial function due to proper levels of magnesium and other minerals, which Dr. D knows a lot about, having been the author of the Magnesium Miracle all these years. And basically the person who I probably say very confidently more than anyone has taught the whole world about magnesium supplementation. I would say that without doubt. I mean, she is quoted all over the internet, all over the world, in textbooks, in natural health books, even in medical books, for her wisdom and work in the world of magnesium supplementation. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about things that you care about. And yeah, it's going to be a fun show. We have YouTube Live going. If you're on our YouTube Live channel, hello, welcome, welcome. If you're listening in another country, we welcome you too to the show. I know Lorraine, our distributor up in Canada, is listening tonight. She's already checked in with me. We're going to talk to her or about her in a little bit as well. And I think that's probably what I want to say at the beginning of the show tonight. So without further ado, I will remind you, this isn't a medical advice show. We can't give medical advice, but Dr. Dean will always say what she would do if she were you in your particular health situation. And she's probably done the things that she said that she would do because, well, she's just like you. She's got a body, she lives on the face of the earth, and she's had her own health challenges, up and downs, but she has emerged victorious Yeah, with the prize, boy, I'll tell you, she has got the prize. So without further ado, we bring her to you, our very own Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Hey, they're the children. I actually hear them. Thank you, children. Thank you, Ginny. And Ginny, how about starting off the show with another testimonial from our producer, Rachel?
We just love Rachel so much. She's the most unwitting suspect in our cavalcade of transformation here. Rachel came to us last year through the Dream Vision 7 radio network. And, gradually, slowly but surely, she's gotten on a few products. And boy, she's just ripping and running around. She was on a 6-hour pontoon boat trip today, and she looks absolutely fantastic. I see her through the camera on our Zoom calls, and I've seen her demeanor totally change. She's just radiating with so much goodness in life, and she loves that Pico silver. And she was telling us before we got on the show how much she loves to use it for sunburns. And of course, that's totally appropriate, Carolyn, because that is what silver is used for: wound care and burns, right?
Good point. Good point. Yes, they kicked silver out of the medical pharmacopoeia because they had to make room for all the drugs, but they could not find anything better than silver saturated gauze to apply to burns. These horrific burn victims that get burned over a certain percentage of their body, they still use silver. And and why they don't use it on so many other things is because it's not patented. It won't make drug companies any money. So instead, they give you drugs that, you can be guaranteed every one of them has side effects. So yes, Rachel told us she's down in Florida and she's been out on her boat. What was it? A wave rider, I think she said, Jenny. And 2 days in a row. And she said she sprayed on Pico Silver and a bright red, starting of a burn went away. And that is just awesome. I mean, was somebody telling us about red ants the other day, red ant bites? It could have been Rachel as well. And you just spray anything. Seriously, just use our stuff. I never I don't give that many testimonials, but I had this crazy little thing on my face, and not a wart, not a pimple. What is it? Let me just rip it off my face, and it just wouldn't heal. And finally, I think it was only 2 days ago, after looking at it for weeks and not being able to get rid of it or cover it up even, I just stuck my finger in my RNA drops, not even the RNA serum, the RNA drops, and just touched it to this area. And it's fainter, much fainter. It's flat, it's healing, it's going away. It's amazing. It's like, I'm going to let this work. And it did. And yeah, we have these stories. We do. We have so much. And I'm looking at, I should go through the housekeeping notes, but it brings me up on my file to the words that we often say. The first one is, the worst is over. And you can bet that that's true. And the other one I have here's, the scientist rigorously defends his or her right to be ignorant of most everything else except their own specialty. And that's what we're in the midst of now. Nobody is a generalist or in charge of what's going on with our health. And that's where, I'm a generalist. That's just the way my brain is wired. So when I look at people, it's totality, head to foot, inside, outside, and figure out what's the best, instead of just chopping your body up into parts and sending them off to different specialists. And what I realize is we are built from cells. And if we make our cells healthy, then we are going to be healthy throughout. And bringing Pico Silver back, if our bone marrow, which is where the stem cells for all the cells in the body come from, the bone marrow, if we have problems with our bone marrow, Pico Silver is what we use. Now, we don't know when we have problems with our bone marrow, right? So that's why I really do take Pico Silver every day. I used to think it was just for the immune system, which we're not allowed to talk about anymore. But now I say it's for all our cells. The Pico Silver is for our cells. Another saying that we have, or I have, is we've educated the common sense out of people. People don't stand up for their own common sense. And you have to have common sense these days, because every bit of news that's coming out of right, left, and center is likely fake. So when you hear or read something, just think, it's probably fake. Let me look into it. Do not be brainwashed. And Bob's saying is everything has basically disappeared. And that's true. I mean, what you see is not real, and what you don't see is probably real. My most recent, I think, is talking about doctors as being medically illiterate. They really don't know. And I guess that goes along with the specialist quote. And one thing I realized on my walk this morning is that I felt old when I was quite young because of magnesium deficiency. And now I really don't know what feeling old should feel like, because I don't feel anything but, happy, healthy, holy, all those things. So what I want people to consider is that if you have symptoms and start to say to yourself, I guess I'm getting old, just don't believe that. Just totally drop that thought until you get yourself saturated with our minerals and take all our products. You really don't know how good you can feel. And when you listen to the show, I'm sure you hear people call in and give their terrible health stories and, negative stories for the most part. That and you often hear me say, okay, that's enough. I don't want you to keep saying those words and giving them life in your head, giving them a home in your head, for Pete's sakes, or giving them legs and arms and wings to fly on. And people will do that until they start to feel better. It's a way of I think reaching out, especially with our customer service. We find our customers calling up and going on about their negative health, and it's not until they start feeling better that they realize, it can be different. So we can say to people, you don't have to repeat your negative story, because we know you can feel better. Everybody can feel better, and we have the testimonials to prove it. Although the FDA won't let us print our testimonials on our website, that would be like we're trying to tell people we can help them, and we're not allowed to do that. You can see our testimonials, say, on Amazon under our product listings. But I'll ask Ginny, are we being told, Ginny, that the FDA is going to stop people from putting up testimonials on Amazon? Do we think that's going to happen?
It will eventually.
Yeah. So you have to get your health resources where you can. And we've got our radio show until they take it down. I've got 22 free ebooks on a site that is not our product site. That site is drcarolyndeanlive.com. So go there for the free ebooks, download all of them, send them out to everybody you know and love, because we are on our own. Housekeeping, we have a subscription service, and that means you you put in a monthly order that automatically comes to you, so you don't have to fear running out. We ask you to refer your practitioner to receive one of our practitioner kits so we can get doctors involved with the products. When you refer a friend to the products and they purchase, you and that friend get a 15% discount, and that usually pays for your shipping. Get your blood testing done with the home blood test kit. It's a research project we're doing. We still have a few free test kits for people. It's a $214 test of what magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, and TSH for your thyroid. We're still running our magnesium deficiency survey, and it's never wavered in all the over 350,000 surveys that have been filled out. It's never wavered from showing that 70% of people have insomnia, 70% have anxiety, 60% have muscle cramps, 55% have restless legs, 50% have heart palpitations, and about 40% have tension headaches or migraines. So I want people to pay attention to these numbers. If you know someone who's telling you, oh yeah, I can't sleep, blah, 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 then you know that 7 times out of 10, it's because they're magnesium deficient. Or people with anxiety, same thing. So don't just stand there and kind of commiserate with their anxiety or muscle cramps or heart palpitations. Tell them to get Renag and get going on saturating themselves and improving their health. And we're not just saying this because we're saying it. We have the university research that we're doing to prove what we're talking about. So I think that's it. I sort of dragged out our housekeeping. Ginny, anything to add before I go? Oh, here, I'll do this first. Before the blog, I have a musical testimonial. Julie, our customer service, Julie, sent this in. Mr. So-and-so has been a customer since 2018. He is a minister of music at 2 churches in Houston, Texas. He is a huge advocate of Dr. Dean's minerals and helps everyone he can. Because of the formulas, he was able to avoid rotator cuff surgery and continue his music ministry. He called this morning into Julie, singing from the rooftops. He has been on blood pressure medications for 38 years, and he's 72 years old. His doctor just recently took him off the medications and told him he did not need them anymore. He wanted me to share this with all of you. So, over to Ginny. Awesome or what?
Awesome. Wait a minute.
Yep. The children thinks it's awesome too. So, anything to add to housekeeping, or what do we have to tell people about this, that, or anything?
Well, I think you said it all. I will say that Maria asked a question that I want to get in since we spent so much time talking about Pico Silver, because she asked if you can take magnesium for shingles, but I know so many people who've used Pico Silver for shingles. What do you think about that, Carolyn?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I personally have a spray bottle with Remag and Pico Silver in it, the 2 of them. Now, I use it first for deodorant under my armpits, and then a little essential oil for a pleasant, slight perfume. And so I have it on hand, and I'll use it for different things when I want Remag and Pico Silver together. What you have to watch out with shingles is if there's any, kind of abrasion of the skin, because the Remag could, burn it a bit. Remag is very concentrated, and it will, quote, just burn a little bit. Whereas Pico Silver, like water, you can spray it on anything. So yeah, you're right, Ginny. I'd start with Pico Silver.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that stuff is absolutely awesome. I agree. And people very unwittingly getting relief from shingles for Pico Silver. So I like that when I like it when it creeps up and surprises people, like it did with Rachel, our producer. It's like, well, I just think I'll just spray a little of this on, see what happens, and the next thing you know, our shingles were gone. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? The other thing I want to say, Carolyn, is New Earth Television, one of our regular subscribers on YouTube, said, happy belated Mother's Day to you, Dr. Dean.
That's so sweet. Yes, maybe I've said before, I have foster children and foster grandchildren who've, just recently graduated from U of T, one of them, and his brother is an actor in training. And they, with their friends, drove an RV across Canada to celebrate their graduation, just got back safely. So, I mean, they're two young people in their very early 20s who just say, what, COVID, quarantine, what's going on? Let's just drive across Canada. Isn't that awesome? I think that was just so incredible. And they had an incredible time. I don't know if they weren't supposed to do that, but all the orders are hanging over everybody's head that they have to be in their home locked down for the rest of their lives. But these kids, no, they're not having it. So yeah, I'm very proud of my extended family and get beautiful notes from them, just beautiful notes. So I'm very happy, very happy.
Oh, very good. Well, we're happy you're here with us. And let me just remind you, this is a call-in talk show. So you will be able to call and speak with Dr. Dean, 646-558-8657. And then the ID number, 8836953587. I know I said that fast, but it's on your video screen. It's on the Dream Vision 7 channel. It's in our emails. It should be easy for you to find. You'll be able to call in and talk to Dr. Dean tonight. So we want to queue you up for that. And of course, we have all kinds of testimonial stories and great stuff to talk about. And we are going to talk about the brain tonight. If you have a question, you can use the chat line at YouTube if you want to shout something in and chitty chat with us that way. Or Dream Vision 7 has their own chat line, which you can use. A lot of our wonderful Canadian friends, Sally and all of our good friends in Canada, Nancy M and Nancy W, always use the chat line there. I've got all channels open, ready to communicate. So Dr. Dean, take it away.
Right. Yes. Good intro to the blog. So the blog is Magnesium and Brain Health. Now, I was thinking about that and thinking how most people probably don't realize how much magnesium can help the brain. I think people figure once you have some sort of brain problem that, it's game over. How can you heal your brain, et cetera, but magnesium is there for you. And let me just go through the blog. It's sitting at drcarolyndeanlive.com. You can follow along. So one of the top 8 nutrients for protecting aging brains, suggested by the Institute of Food Technologists and highlighted in its magazine, Food Technology, is magnesium. Unfortunately, most of the US population is magnesium deficient, not even getting their RDA, leaving people at risk for cognitive impairment, even stroke with post-stroke complications, neurotoxin damage from the chemicals in our air, food, water, seizure disorders, Alzheimer's, and even Parkinson'S disease. These conditions are the neurological equivalent of heart disease and are preventable. After all, both the heart and the brain are made up of excitable tissues that give off electrical energy, and both must have magnesium to stay healthy and function properly. So it's like the electrical conductivity in your body that we measure in the heart and the brain, they can't they can't work properly. They're weak and stumble if you don't have enough minerals, magnesium being the most important mineral for electrical conductivity. Um, Continuing, in fact, magnesium is one of the most widely researched minerals for brain health and has proven remarkably effective in clinical settings. Some of the biological benefits you can expect from magnesium include for Alzheimer's disease, magnesium blocks the neuroinflammation caused by the inappropriate deposition of calcium and other heavy metals in brain cells. Magnesium is at work even before the inflammation appears, guarding cell ion channels and not allowing heavy metals to enter. So we're talking about protection. It's like, do not get sick and then think magnesium is going to cure you overnight. I mean, eventually it's going to help a tremendous amount, but let's get people taking their nutrients to prevent all these things that we know can be not necessarily down the pike as we age, but they're cumulative. These things build up, and that's why the elderly are hit most, because they've been around a long time. So they're imbibing, ingesting, rolling around in all these toxins, and taking calcium pills for Pete's sakes. Um, Magnesium protects the brain from the toxic effects of chemicals that, such as food additives or, aspartame, for example, the horribly ridiculous synthetic sweetener, NutraSweet. I mean, that is dangerous for the brain. 3, brain dysfunction. Uh, Download a free copy of Magnesium, a book called Magnesium in the Central Nervous System, written in 2011. It has an extensive overview of the beneficial effects of magnesium on the brain. I mean, this is the type of thing that you print up and you slam down on your doctor's desk and say, I want my so-and-so who's suffering from this and that to have magnesium in the whatever nursing home or retirement home, because even supplements have to be prescribed for these people who are locked away in their little, I don't know, aging boxes. I write about this in Death by Modern Medicine, so it's very distressing what happens to people in nursing homes and retirement homes, and even more horrifying now that they're not allowed to have visitors. So they've been wasting away without human support for over a year now. Number 4, depression. Serotonin, which elevates mood, is dependent on magnesium. A magnesium deficient brain is also more susceptible to allergens and foreign substances, which in some instances can cause symptoms similar to mental illness. 5, magnesium deficiency can produce symptoms of anxiety or depression, including muscle weakness, fatigue, eye twitches, insomnia, anorexia, apathy, apprehension, poor memory, confusion, anger, nervousness, and rapid pulse. That's just the symptoms of magnesium deficiency. And at a certain age, if you are expressing some of these symptoms or conditions, you just get diagnosed with, oh, you're getting older, here's here's some medication to suppress your symptoms. Number 6, back to serotonin. This feel-good brain chemical is boosted by some psychiatric medications with their dangerously harmful side effects. And serotonin depends on magnesium for its production and proper function. Number 7, the body needs magnesium in order to release and bind adequate amounts of serotonin in the brain for balanced mental functioning. And 8, cognitive defects in general and diseases such as dementia are often associated with reduced cerebral blood flow. Magnesium improves the blood flow in the brain and is being used to rehab the brain after stroke. Then there's brain plasticity. And this is a biological process by which specific patterns of brain activity in the synapses result in changes in synaptic strength and is thought to contribute to learning and memory. One study found that synaptic plasticity is a key characteristic of nerve architecture that allows your brain to tolerate stress, recover from trauma, and make changes. Synaptic plasticity is based on having your brain nourished with magnesium in order to properly energize brain cells and prevent them from becoming inflamed, damaged, or functionally impaired. And we all know magnesium is a natural anti-inflammatory. So the health of your nerve cell membranes is vital to their plasticity, in addition to aerobic exercise, which stimulates brain plasticity. The study found, and I don't know if one study found such and such, and then continuing, that same study found that the intake of magnesium above the normal dietary amount has a dramatic effect on improving multiple aspects of memory and learning. These findings apply to both young and old alike. Magnesium was found to directly improve synaptic plasticity, et cetera, et cetera. Various regions of the brain associated with learning and memory experience significant improvements in synaptic function as a result of magnesium dietary supplementation. And of course, the RDA of 300 to 400 milligrams is inadequate. Keep in mind that magnesium is required for 1,000 enzyme functions in the body. And over the years, I've seen significant health improvement in individuals consuming an absorbable form of magnesium, such as Remag, in the 600 to 900 milligram range. Excuse me. So, on the heels of that, I found a study reported, or report, I guess, in Medscape. It says vitamins to prevent cancer and cardiovascular disease. That was semicolon. And then it said, no, no, they don't. And that's from the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force. And what they say, for most vitamin and mineral supplements, there's not enough evidence to recommend for or against taking them to prevent cancer and cardiovascular disease. And I mean, it's crazy because they, on one hand, they treat these vitamins and minerals like drugs when they do these studies. On the other hand, they don't even realize that they're necessary for the cells. Jenny, will you come on and comment while I drink some water? I've just got a tickle in my throat.
Yes, and I was just sitting here thinking how absolutely profoundly shocking that is. But I mean, we shouldn't be surprised by anything that pharma companies orchestrate. What did we do on the face of the earth as a civilization, as a species, before people had drugs? Is we just ate good food. And the only reason why we are pro supplement is because the good food is gone. Otherwise, we'd still be recommending good food. And it's unreal to think that these arrogant people can come on and say there's no evidence for something like magnesium to prevent disease, when magnesium has prevented disease on the face of the earth for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate. But I mean, I'm glad for our radio audience and our consumer audience. And there's lots of people out there that are totally wise to the game. But boy, it's just shocking because It really prevents people from getting help.
Yes, yes. And I don't, to me, it sounds like it's planned. They plan, oh, well, let's study vitamins on cancer, and it's surely not going to help. And then we can have a headline that says, well, they don't help. And to add to the negative focus that big pharma has on vitamins and minerals, they don't like to think that they're going to improve your health. And our musical minister, his very smart doctor, finds that his blood pressure is completely normal and does not need medications, and they don't like that. But he's been taking our products since 2018. He took his drugs, he took his Remag and his other nutrients. He improved his body, and then the drug is no longer necessary. I mean, what is wrong with that? When I went to med school in the mid 70s, we were told give drugs only as long as they're required to suppress symptoms while the body recovers. Well, we're just recovering our bodies so that we don't need drugs. This whole business of taking drugs preventatively for the rest of your shortened life is only in the past couple of decades. And most of the young doctors, that's their modus operandi. That's what they learned. Oh yeah, as soon as you have symptoms of one of these chronic diseases, give enough drugs to try to prevent them getting worse, because all they see is these conditions getting worse because they're not doing anything to help. And what agency gave this report? The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force. They aren't preventing a darn thing. It's completely unconscionable and horrifying, but we shall persevere. Now, Ginny, I do have blog questions that Mildy Rose sent in. Do you want me to do those now, or shall we break and take some phone calls and then come back to the questions?
We can come back to questions because we do have callers waiting, so we can get to it earlier in the show, which is great. And also, let's see on the chitty chat who is here saying hello. I just want to make sure we're not missing anybody. What is going on with my screen? All right, well, we'll have to do that here in a minute because I can't figure out what's going on with that. All right, very good. Let's take a couple phone calls, Carolyn. How's that sound?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so we're going to go to area code 508. If you can unmute your phone, *6, area code 508 will bring you on the show. You could talk to Dr. Dean. All right, hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment, that would be great.
Yep, I have so many, but I'll just start small. My name is Christy. Dr. Dean, I've been following you, seems like for a very long time. Love your work. A few questions like with the magnesium. If your magnesium levels are considered in the correct range, do you still need to continue on with more magnesium?
Yes, Christy, that's one of the problems with diagnosing magnesium deficiency, is that the standard blood test to check for magnesium, it's usually the serum magnesium. It is highly inaccurate. It only measures the 4% of magnesium that's in the blood at all times to protect the heart. So that amount of magnesium is always going to be the same, look the same. If it drops, feedback mechanisms from the muscles and bones, which store magnesium, will release magnesium into the serum and keep magnesium looking normal according to the doctors. And it's so much that is so correct a statement. That's the way I should say it. That's such a true statement that doctors do not even do a serum magnesium test at all for the electrolyte panel. So nobody's looking at magnesium. Our first study with Purdue University showed that the serum magnesium test was highly inaccurate compared to the ionized magnesium test, which we are trying to promote, and with our studies, offering submissions to the various government agencies to get them to change the level of testing. So this is huge. You cannot assume that these levels are average or accurate or normal or healthy, because 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium. So labs compare your value to everybody else who walked into the lab the past year, and if everybody's magnesium deficient, then the values are all going to express that. And doctors, for some reason, they just don't have a clue that that's happening. The range now is 3.8 to 6. It used to be 4.2 at the bottom, but in the couple of years I've been really following it steadily, the average value has dropped. How is that possible that then is a normal range? So
not good.
Answer, no. Go ahead.
Okay, and then if you do have like low blood pressure, because I read, to be careful with the dosing. Is that correct?
In a sense, it's correct, because I think what they found a lot of negative information about magnesium from hospital kind of clinical research, where they give people these high doses of intravenous magnesium, and whoopsie daisy, the blood pressure falls down. But what we know about low blood pressure is that it's related to magnesium deficiency. And what we do anyway is tell people with our ReMag to go low and slow. There's a type of low blood pressure tachycardia. It's called POTS, P-O-T-S. I'm just using this as an example, not saying that this is what you have, Christy, but in this postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, it's defined as excessive heart rate and leading to low blood pressure. So magnesium deficiency itself can cause an underactive autoimmune nervous system, leading to low blood pressure and poor circulatory system performance. So some people think magnesium will lower their blood pressure further, but slowly increasing magnesium will actually treat the underlying autonomic nervous system problem and improve the blood pressure. So low and slow, and everybody needs magnesium. And unfortunately, the low blood pressure, kidney disease, they're all used to scare people away from taking magnesium. Next question.
Yep. For me?
Yeah, go ahead. I know. Oh yeah, it's like, move along, Christy, bring someone else in. No, you're asking the questions. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, and believe me, stop me when you're ready there. But because I had tried it, a few times, just wasn't quite sure if I felt right on it, and then my daughter had a doctor recommended my magnesium. Was it glycinate?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had tried some of that, but it was a liquid form, and I felt like my lips had gotten numb. It was just an interesting reaction. So I'm not sure if it's actually the magnesium in the formula. It was like pure inhalation, so I know it was a good formula, but it was just an odd, and it may have just been a fluke, but yeah.
Well, I don't know the form you took, but I mean, what you could do is get our ReMag and put it in a spray bottle and spray parts of your body with it. We do have a ReMag lotion, but it's on back order. But you can just put it transdermally, or pour out a half a teaspoon, put in your palm, and then wipe that on your arms or legs, and that will slowly get into your body and be absorbed, and and it won't affect your lips, but play with it that way, because if you read anything that I've written about magnesium, you know how important it is. You just want to
Right.
take, a form that's absorbed, doesn't have any side effects, doesn't have any additives. The Remag in our bottle is just an ionized magnesium chloride it doesn't even have preservative, because magnesium is self-preserving.
Okay. Okay. That's good. And I do have one more question, if that's okay.
Of course.
But it's on your other product, the Flora Revive. Is that all right?
Yes, go ahead.
Just, because there's question of SIBO, questions SIFO. I'm not sure if I have a fungal infection as well. So with Flora Revive, and then I've also heard doctors talking about digestive enzymes, but I don't think you have that type of product in your offerings, right? And would
Right.
Flora Revive just kind of cover all of that?
Well, with SIBO, people have been given the impression SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And for
Yep.
some reason, yeast just got ignored with gut problems. I don't know why, because yeast is the basis for SIBO. You can't get bacterial imbalance without there being a yeast problem. So the way I work it out is you do your the Flora Revive, which has the Saccharomyces boulardii, which is itself a natural yeast, which will help balance out the sort of the yeast side of the intestinal flora. It does bump out infectious organisms. They have studies using it for infectious diarrhea in children, for Pete's sake. So it's remarkably safe. And then the probiotics in the Flora Revive will, help support the good bacteria and get the balance back. So, I mean, that's the approach. And in terms of digestive enzymes, I have never been able to find one that worked. And so, what I've done, in my Future Health Now encyclopedia and anything I talk about, anywhere I talk about digestive health, I tell people to choose the right diet, chew well, don't drink liquids with your meal. And with something like the Flora Revive, you can help balance the intestinal environment from the stomach down, and that seems to help. Actually, I'd like some input here, Ginny, or people on the various chats. Have you felt the need for a digestive enzyme on top of our formulas? And if so, what has helped? I mean, I've also said to people to take a couple of teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in water before a meal. There are various gentle things that we can do. So, Jenny, what's your input on that?
I learned from Dr. Dean to use pineapple. So that's one of your favorite digestive aids. So I think that for me personally, if I get a little goofy in my stomach, I just get a couple pieces of pineapple. They have the little pineapple cups at the store now in the deli section, and that kind of seems to suit me well.
Mm-hmm.
I know one of them.
And let me just interject for Christy and the audience, as you all probably know, papaya and pineapple have natural enzymes. That's where if you really gorge on pineapples, your lips will burn from that, because that's enzymes working on kind of digesting your saliva. So Ginny goes right to a raw food enzyme to help digestion. Very good. Okay,
Right.
What else?
Very good. Let's see what we're saying. Digestive enzymes from Designs for Health, Cherise says, but she says she's also had her gallbladder removed. So that's one thing. And then another one is somebody said, personally, I haven't had major digestive issues. Apple cider vinegar is something I've heard of. Gizme, I don't know. They'd have to retype that Frequency Matters and see. HCl, I know another one, Carolyn, you've said before is licorice, DGL licorice.
Yes, that's for heartburn and reflux.
Yeah, that's not a digestive enzyme though.
But a lot of, let me just say though, people will think they need digestive enzymes if they do have heartburn and reflux. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So I'll share the rest of the comments as they come through.
Right. Yeah, Christy, it's an interesting point. And yes, you're right. I don't have a digestive enzyme product, but it's because I've never found one that I think works. I think, my way around digestive problems is I try not to eat too much. I try to chew my food well and not drink liquids with the meals. I think a lot of us can overeat, but anyway, that's enough of that. Any more? Any comments on that? And any more questions?
The one other comment was GI. Oh, Guy. I see GI. Get it? GI tract. GI Zyme from Manatech. And another one says pickle juice.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's like, that pickle juice may be a vinegar itself. And with the raw, kind of fermented pickles, that can be providing probiotics. But, there's definitely something to what Ginny said about the pineapple. And as I said, the papaya, taking a food that has its own digestive enzymes. I know that's how I survived a cruise. I did a conference on a cruise once and outrageous amounts of food, and I just ate whatever I wanted. And instead of desserts, I ate papayas and pineapples, and it was awesome. Christy, any comments on all those words and more questions?
No, that's I appreciate that. I've just found that I have tried a chewable digestive enzyme, but I think it had some stevia. I think the sugar has bothered me, so I'm not sure if it's a true candida. Would the pineapple and papaya still be recommended because of the sweetness? I'm not sure.
Well, there are. I'm sure there are papaya enzyme tablets that you can get, so that's a possibility. And if you're bringing up yeast overgrowth yourself, then that would be the place to focus on. And you've already brought up Flora Revive, but when a person has yeast overgrowth, they can be bubbling in the stomach and make you think you need digestive enzymes. So it may be that getting the yeast under control is the best thing, and it can take care of the SIBO as far as I've seen.
Okay, and any long-term, like with the Flora Revive and the Saccharomyces boulardii, is it okay to take long-term, I guess, or?
It is. I addressed that when I started working with the Flora Revive by saying, yes, this is a mild antifungal. If you continue to eat sugars and fruits, then it may be necessary to keep doing the Flora Revive to help keep the yeast under control because you're feeding it. Because I spent many years telling people, no sugar and you really be careful with your fruit. And it just, especially when I moved to Maui, I couldn't follow that advice myself, because there's so much good fruit here. So I made the Flora Revive with an antifungal, but then I made Flora Revive Light without the antifungal. And when, after maybe 6 months of taking Flora Revive, I suggest to people, well, then try take one Flora Revive instead of two, and one Flora Revive Light, and see how you feel. And personally, I go back and forth. Some weeks I'll do 2 Flora Revives. Some weeks I'll do 1 Flora Revive and 1 Light. And so it becomes, your own experiment and adventure. But I've tried to address the situation about taking a antifungal every day.
Okay, well, thank you. And to steer it back to, because I know you're talking about magnesium in the brain tonight, so thank you for letting me get you off track a little bit.
No problem. Yeah.
Yep.
No, they are good questions. Nope. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, Christy. Thank you. Yeah, good questions. Go ahead,
Thank
Ginny.
you so much.
Okay, bye. Bye, Christy.
Bye-bye.
Great questions. Thank you very much. We've still got other callers holding. We'll take you over the top of the next hour because we've got to take a little break here. Somebody said sauerkraut, Carolyn.
Of course, yeah. And there is a raw food with its own enzymes, and it's fermented, so it has probiotics. So there's something about taking fermented foods that, with our probiotic and Flora Revive, that's going to be helpful to your digestion as well. Yeah, people have to, work with these foods and see what helps, but having a raw food is going to be important. And since we're coming to the top of the hour, we shouldn't start a call. Let me do a quick blog questions, Jenny.
Yes, please.
Question 1. I read that magnesium L-threonate was the only magnesium that crossed the blood-brain barrier. Do you suggest using this magnesium supplement to improve blood health? So I've talked about this many times, actually. This is a type of magnesium that was studied. It was originally a rat study, and they showed a 7% increase in magnesium in the cerebral spinal fluid with threonate compared to citrate. So whoever did the marketing on this, they knew their job, and they let everybody in the world think that magnesium threonate was the only magnesium that gets through the blood-brain barrier, which is untrue, because even magnesium oxide at 4% absorption has positive brain effects. And certainly our Remag, which is fully absorbed, will have very beneficial brain effects. So the answer is no. Threonate is not the only magnesium that crosses the blood-brain barrier. Ginny, we'll have to do a brain study with Remag.
I agree. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. Top of the hour.
Okay, very good. We'll be right back, everybody.
Yay!
Yay!
Hour 2 of the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with host Ginny Sanders, right after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com. That's drcarolyndean.com.
Did you know there are 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency? Magnesium deficiency is a public health crisis growing in scope and proportion. Dr. Carolyn Dean, author of The Magnesium Miracle, has identified over 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency, 100 factors that lead to magnesium deficiency, and 24 reasons why magnesium deficiency occurs. Order The Magnesium Miracle today at Amazon.com and learn how to remedy this pervasive condition.
Do you have questions about your health? Are you wondering about alternatives? Do you ever wish you could have 5 minutes with a doctor you can trust? Someone who is an internationally recognized authority in the field of natural medicine? Meet award-winning doctor, naturopath, and best-selling author of The Magnesium Miracle, Carolyn Dean, MD, ND. Hear a wealth of information designed to empower listeners and callers to discover how to improve health, vitality, and well-being through a variety of safe strategies and nutritional options. Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. Shows can be heard every Monday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern, with weekly live shows, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Natural health, vitality, and well-being. Yes, everyone wants it, but not everyone is sure how to achieve it. Dr. Carolyn Dean's Completement Formulas are more than just dietary supplements. They're whole foods and picometer minerals designed to complete your nutrition, not just supplement it. Experience the difference Dr. Dean's formulas make. Visit RNAreset.com to learn more. That's RNARESET.com.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. With more than 40 years at the forefront of holistic studies, Omega is known the world over as a trusted source for integrated approaches to personal growth and social change. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Return now to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Judy Sanders. Phone lines are open during live broadcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, Dr. Carolyn Dean live here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. So happy to be here, and also YouTube live. We've got so many wonderful listeners and callers who are with us again this evening, and new people joining us all the time. Couple of things I just want to remind you, if you are hearing something on the show that you need clarity on, especially after we stop recording, in other words, if you're listening to one of our podcasts or listening to an archive, please send your questions to questions, questions, at drcarolyndeanlive.com, and Melody Rose, who's been working with Dr. Dean for many years, will get your questions, sort through, and get you connected to Dr. Dean or provide you a simple resource if that's all you require. So again, questions, questions, at drcarolyndeanlive.com. The other thing we want to let you know is for next week, we will not be doing a live show next week, but we will be here on Memorial Day weekend. We can have a super big party on Memorial Day weekend and hang out together, but next weekend I actually will not be available, and so we decided not to do a live show next week. So you can tune in for the recording, or you can catch us again on the 24th when we'll be back live with Dr. Dean. If you have a request for a radio show topic that you think would be relevant to a lot of people, we always ask that you suggest that. You can write it into our chat line, or again, send it to questions at Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. We love to get suggestions. We never really know the scope of what everybody knows. And we found out when we did our pop quiz on magnesium deficiency the other day that our listeners are very knowledgeable. So we want to keep spreading the wealth and spreading all the good information. So if you have a topic idea, just let us know. And finally, I also wanted to say just quickly that Lorraine in Canada, our distributor up in Kelowna, Canada, BC, is doing a sale right now on the Remag. As we've mentioned before, we just have the first of our products approved up there with the product number and the dual language labels, which is what Health Canada requires. And so you can get that at reset.truehealthcanada.ca. She's doing a 20% off sale. So just that single product. I know it's a little inconvenient, but you can also stock up because it is on sale and it's shipped within the country. And then we'll continue to add products as we are going to over the course of this year. We're getting them all organized and submitted, and we'll be able to have our full product line up there soon. So,
and Ginny, let me interject. When you said it's a little inconvenient, by that you mean inconvenient because they have to order the rest of the products from us, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a little inconvenient, but if you take advantage of the sale, stock up on your Remag, and then just get your products from us on the alternative months or whatever. We'll all figure it out together. But the most important thing is we want to get that product flowing through Canada as we are, and then just get through the bureaucracy of the rest of it. But they say, and it is true, that once you get your first one done, the rest are easy. So we should have a much easier time getting them through than we did the almost 3 years that it took to get the first one through.
Wow.
But we persevere. Okay, so that's our update. What else would we like to talk about tonight? And we're going to go to our callers. What else do we have to say at the top of the hour here, Carolyn?
Well, let me dive in a couple of other brain questions just to shake it up here. Someone is saying there's been a lot written about vitamin B12 and energy and brain health. What's your take on this? Thank you for your time, Benjamin. Well, I mean, our take is that B12 is very important. So we have it in above RDA level in our Realign in the methylated form. So it is very important. So that is there for people in Realign. Next one, Andy says, I have atrial fibrillation and my doctor prescribed several medications to prevent stroke. Is there a natural or complementary way to do stroke prevention? Yeah, with Afib, they're afraid that the shaking up of the heart can cause blood clotting. It can happen, so they put people on blood thinners. And I do talk about some natural blood thinners in my heart health book, like the nattokinase, but I can't prescribe it other than just discuss it because so many people are using that, and I can't tell people to stop their medications. And then, as we've indicated several times in this show, keep taking your medications. Take our nutrients for Afib, the Remag and the Pico potassium are the most important. And as your Afib diminishes or goes away because it was a magnesium deficiency in the first place, then you'll be taken off the medications. And atrial fibrillation, in the beginning years, it can be just purely magnesium deficiency. I do think that as the years go on, there can be some damage to the heart, and even so, magnesium is going to be helpful. And eventually, with all our nutrients, the cells being supplied with the building blocks, etc., cells have turnover. So your heart today is not the same heart as it was 3 years ago. And if you're taking nutrients to form perfect cells, then you will be healing your heart. That's what we know. Uh, Someone is saying, I've had both grand mal and petit mal seizures on and off for years. Will taking magnesium help support my brain acting normal? I'm on various seizure medications. How do I know I can safely take magnesium with them? And that's Craig. So I don't know anything about Craig, age or circumstances. Was it a brain trauma that caused the seizures? But certainly, as we've talked about, the electrical conductivity of the brain requires the proper mineralization. So there is no harm in taking minerals that we're supposed to get in our food, and we aren't. And I would be taking the Remag, Pico Potassium, and Remite, and see how it goes. And uh, before taking the minerals, I would get an EEG electroencephalogram of the brain and see the status, and then take minerals. And after 6 months, see where you're at, and see if it's a possibility of weaning off the what do you call it, drugs, the medications, because medications for seizures can be pretty harsh. Parkinson's. Can you explain the benefits of magnesium on Parkinson's? Well, Parkinson's it's a substantia nigra. It's possible. I mean, we have reports. We can't say that Remag. I don't know about magnesium in general. We can't say magnesium or Remag is going to reverse Parkinson's, but we certainly have comments from our customers who say that their symptoms have lessened. And I guess that's all I can say. I'll ask Jenny if we've had any reports. And there she comes.
Here I am. You know, the thing, like you said, Carolyn, well, let's talk about something that's equally compelling and very challenging is ALS.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Right? I mean, yeah. I say if you can handle or recovery from stroke, because we've had a lot of that, you know, people who've had strokes and recover or gain a certain portion or function back or get improvement in an area that they didn't think they would. ALS is another degenerative kind of situation with that. And Parkinson's, yes, I think about one of our customers from several years ago where they were actually able to stop their spasming. That's the spasming one, right?
It's a movement disorder.
Yeah.
That initially causes tremor in one hand, and stiffness or slowing of movement. You can even tell, maybe not so much on yourself, but on a relative. You pick up a finger of their hand, just tell them to hold it loosely and rotate their wrist by, propelling their hand with their fingers. Mm-hmm. And if it's a cog-like movement, then that's a possibility of Parkinson's. It's like half of your nerves and muscles are moving forward and half of them are moving backward. And what I always say with anything to do with muscles and nerves, you look to magnesium first. But this business about what is in the substantia nigra, there's a dopamine. So there's something to do with dopamine in the substantia nigra of the brain that they say is affected. And nobody knows for sure. I mean, is it heavy metals that are affecting the substantia nigra, et cetera, et cetera? So in the face of them not knowing exactly what's happening, I just tell people, well, take our products and, improve your whole health, not just focus on the Parkinson's.
That is one thing that we do know, is that when a part of the body gets stressed out, the whole body gets stressed out, and it does send its healing energy to focus on that. It's like triage, critical care. And as that part of the body is doing its own triage and responding to what's going on, to make sure that the rest of the body is fortified nutritionally is very important. And this is what a lot of people don't, overlook when they get sick with something like that. So I agree completely.
Right.
Absolutely. And also, brain health, we know the omegas, I mean, so important.
Right, of course. Yeah. And vitamin D, I mean, they're all important. Didn't we say at the beginning of today's blog article, there are 8 nutrients required for brain health, and we do cover them all, various of the B vitamins, the omega 3s, the vitamin D, vitamin C, magnesium, potassium, and a few other minerals that you'll find in Remite. So when you take all our products, then you cover the waterfront. And we can say that now because when we just recently released omega-3 algae, A plus E, we put vitamin A and vitamin E in there so that you don't have to take a multiple vitamin, because you get all your vitamins in our various products, and you certainly get all your minerals. So you are covered. And we've begun saying to some of our, well, we'll say to everybody, but to our elderly people who say, well, one recently did, his wife was doing so much better on our products. He said, well, I'm in my 90s, I feel great. How, have you got anything for longevity? And that's where we say to people, take it all, just take it all. And to me, it's not a big deal. I get my minerals. I have my Remite, Pico Potassium, Pico Silver, and Recalcia. I think that's all of them, and Pico Zinc. So there are 6 minerals. I work out the amounts, whatever, 1 or 2 teaspoons of each a day, but half a teaspoon of Pico Zinc. And I add up a total amount of 48, 48 teaspoons or 8 ounces in an empty mineral bottle. So I work out how many of each I need, and I just put it all in the bottle, and there's my dosage for 6 or 7 days. And it turns out I'm taking about 3 tablespoons of all my minerals, put them in my sea salted water, about 16 ounces. And then I tip in a scoop and maybe a scoop and a quarter of the vitamin C reset powder, stir it up, and I don't taste minerals. I mean, it's pretty strong berry flavored taste, but I'd rather that than the mineral taste. And you can dilute it down. I mean, you could put that, I think I'll try that just to see how it goes. I can put all that in 32 ounces of water, and it would be milder and still without the mineral taste. And through the day, I'll swallow my vitamins, which are my D3K2, my omega-3 fatty acids, my whole C reset, and my realign. So there's my protocol. And, I'm never going to die. That's what we say. Right, Ginny?
You forgot about your RNA drops, Carolyn.
Oh my gosh. I put those in my mouth. I'm up to, a whole big teaspoon, maybe more, because I put it in a tablespoon, like a soup spoon. I take that in my mouth as I head out for my walk in the morning. And, I'm sort of just waving at people instead of talking, because I hold them in my mouth for as long as I can. Yes, RNA reset drops. to the rescue.
That's right. That's right. That covers all the unexpected things that you may not know that you need. And believe me, over the years, and especially in the last 18 months, we've discovered more unexpected things about this world than we even thought there was possible. So the RNA drops are for the unexpected events. So make sure you have those on hand. Yes, I agree. Sounds wonderful.
Look, I can do the last question and then we're free for phone calls. Karen says, I've been reading about metals in our body causing Alzheimer's and senile dementia. Is this true? If so, what can we do to remove these metals? Does magnesium improve these challenges? And we did cover that, Karen, in the blog. We talked about inappropriate deposition or deposition of calcium and other heavy metals in brain cells, causing neuroinflammation that magnesium treats, and magnesium won't even allow these heavy metals to enter into cells. So it definitely protects the brain from the toxic effects of these heavy metals. So that's where you start off, and then you're working with your B vitamins and your Realign. And in the Realign too, we have 2 amino acids. The taurine and methionine are sulfur-based amino acids, and the sulfur helps the sulfation detox pathways in the liver. The methylated B vitamins, of which there are 4, and the methyl group in methionine help the methylation detoxification pathways of the liver. So we've got everything covered. We do. And, Realign, it really is a heavy metal detoxifier, but I don't say that a lot, and I don't say it enough because we really don't have a study to prove that, but certainly methionine is known for that function. And anyway, I'll leave it at that, but there's another study for us, Ginny.
Yes, I agree completely. Yeah, Realign is just such a great product. It's just a little hug for your liver. It's good for your gallbladder, Carolyn. I was reviewing your gallbladder recommendations for taurine and that kind of thing. And, it's very beneficial. We don't really talk about the gallbladder unless it goes sideways.
Yeah, true.
But
yes, with all our supplements, you are in a preventive mood. Unlike the U.S. Department of Prevention or whatever. I mean, what do these jokers think they're talking about? Bob just come and laugh for us, Bob. Show us mock what's going on in the world. The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force are preventing nothing. They're preventing us from getting well. And, prevention in allopathic medicine usually means that they do invasive testing to find a disease so they can treat it earlier and earlier with more and more drugs or even surgery. And that is what they call prevention. It's an abomination. An abomination.
That's right. I agree completely. Yeah. It's unreal. Okay, but the most real thing in the whole wide world and the information you really can count on is with Dr. Carolyn Dean. So we're going to take some phone calls. Reminder, you can talk with Dr. Dean tonight, which is the very best thing to do, at 646-558-8657. And then there's an ID number that you need to, that's on our chat line here at YouTube. It's in our emails, 8836953587. So please feel free to call and join in with us. You can also Zoom in as well. If you want to Zoom in, you can Zoom in as well. But calling usually works the best. So let's press on with our important agenda and get some people on the phone here with Dr. Dean. Shall we do that, Carolyn?
Oh, yes. Let's do it.
Okay. Going to area code 256. 256, we're asking you to unmute. You *6. area code 256. Ding, ding, ding. 256. Ding, ding, ding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can hear the unreal spring storm we're having here, Carolyn. It probably sounds like I'm in a vacuum.
Oh, really? Rain?
Yeah, just unreal. Rain just coming down in torrents. So if it sounds weird in the background, that's what that is. Area code 256. If you could unmute your phone using *6, and then we can bring you on the line to talk to Dr. Dean. Area code 256. Okay, 256 is not able to get to their unmute button, apparently. Okay, Carolyn, we'll have to talk about something else till we can see if 256 can join us.
Of course. Now, here's another, I think it fits into today's topic, even a testimonial. My husband bought Remag and Remite for his dad, who was really struggling with his health. He tried allopathic medicine and it let him down. So my husband asked if he'd give our products a try. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. He started low and slow and is beginning to feel more energetic and less pain. His breathing has even improved. I'm so excited for him. Thank you for such great products. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Imagine, because it must be someone who's, maybe in their 70s or 80s to feel like they're getting some energy back and have less pain. And that's all it takes. Then they start, looking around and wanting to live an even healthier life. And Luba wrote, I'm so grateful to Dr. Carolyn Dean for her amazing Remag, which keeps me happy. And I have a number of questions or testimonials, maybe. Let's see, from Melody Rose that she got somewhere. I don't know. We're on so many platforms now. I don't know where everything's coming from. Someone says about Realign, love it, and that was it. Someone says, I've been taking Recalcia for about 6 months now. We started taking this just to support our calcium levels with a highly absorbable formula. Since we are ketogenic and only eat one meal a day, at least 3 days a week, this seems to be a great way to help support our calcium intake. Very good point. Very good point, because there's not much calcium in high fat, high protein diet. You've got to realize that. I mean, you really have to, but unless they're eating dairy. But see, that's why I made Recalcia, because some people just don't eat dairy. And about vitamin C reset powder, someone says, I absolutely love this product. It's a great way to get your vitamin C and flavor your mineral drink at the same time. It's delicious and sugar-free. Yes, we have a very good stevia that doesn't have any of the stevia aftertaste that I remember from, the first days of stevia. This is about Remite. This is awesome, Jenny, because people are focusing on the different products. Someone says Remite has changed our lives for the better. It has worked wonders along with Remag. We've been loyal users for 2 years, and my wife and I have no intention of going a day without either of these products. We believe in Dr. Dean and all the help she has given to people. That's so sweet. And there's someone who's commenting on Total Body Defense Bundle. And they say, it's amazing that my body aches and pains have become minimal recently since I began taking this bundle. I usually take the Remag and Remite, but recently decided to add the bundle. I just got over COVID, and since COVID have been sick twice with plenty of, it ran out. I don't get all the words. So this is one of the things, we're not allowed to talk about COVID, but for post-influenza, people really do need to take, all our products. Because colds and flus, they do take down your energy, they stress you, they deplete your vitamins and minerals, so you need to replace them. And this one is about Realign. And they say, I see a difference in my overall health and in my gut health and energy. Very good. Someone says, love it. I put it, Remite. I put it on my drinks together with vitamin C powder. Yummy taste. Okay, so they're, Remite tastes strong. Mostly, I think, because of the iodine in it, and they're using it with the vitamin C powder. Someone says, I drink the minerals all day. I can feel it instantly. Definitely will buy more. Highly recommended. Someone says, it's a quality product. I never want to run out. About Realign, I'm much pleased with the purchase of this product. Thank you, Dr. Dean. Wow, they just go on and on and on. Are you okay, Ginny? Do we have a call yet?
We have a couple questions, and so let's do those, and then we can go back to that. But yes, that's a great amount of information that Melody Rose sent. Yep, yeah. It's perfect. Okay, so let me just do this. I'm going to try to go back to 256 and ask 256 if you're available to take your phone off mute, because I see your hand is still raised. So 256, I sent you the blue button, or you can unmute your phone using *6. But if not, we're going to go into the questions that are on the chat line. Area code 256. Oh, bummer. I hate it that they're going to miss talking to you. Okay, let's go to the chat line. So, good questions on the chat line. One of them is, can Dr. Dean explain why methylation is important?
That's a great question. Most people didn't know about methylation until the 23andMe genetic testing became available to the public. I think I don't like that it became available to the public, because it just kind of freaked people out when they were told that they had all these possible variations in their genes, and nobody talking about a nutritional solution. But let's look at methylation. Methylation, and I'm kind of Googling some of these answers for you. It's responsible for processing homocysteine, and if you don't have enough methyl groups to process that amino acid, there's a risk of cardiovascular disease. It's problems with methyl group deficiency can lead to chronic degenerative disease. So methylation in the chemical sciences denotes the addition of a methyl group on a substrate, and a substrate just means a substance, or the substitution of an atom or group by a methyl group. Methylation replaces a hydrogen atom. That doesn't tell us much. So I guess the way I'd say it, it's a chemical process that changes one thing to another, or I know most about it in terms of the liver methyl detoxification, where certain chemicals, if they are attached to a methyl group in the detoxification process, they're easier to eliminate from the body. And, if you don't have methylation detoxification, then the chemicals build up and, toxicity results. So I know it's a detoxifier. Now, what Susie Cohn is saying, that methylation problems in this article she writes leads to hundreds of diseases. So this is interesting. She says methylation, big word that you probably don't think applies to you. However, read on. Knowing about it can improve or save your life. It's a process of taking a single carbon and 3 hydrogens, known as a methyl group, and applying it to countless critical functions in your body, such as thinking, repairing DNA, turning on and off genes, fighting infections, and getting rid of environmental toxins, to name a few. So I just knew, focused on the knowing the environmental toxins. And then methylation defects are tied to a wide variety of conditions. So she lists every condition known to man and woman. But she says, usually in severe conditions, the symptoms are due to toxin buildup. One process of methylation turns on and off genes. This means it affects your DNA, et cetera, et cetera. So what happened with 23andMe is they started not even diagnosis, but kind of quantifying people who had problems with their methyl, how would I put it? The MTHFR, let me look that up. MTHFR is a condition that we started hearing about. And I'm trying to find some words for you on that. I mean, it's quite fascinating and quite complex. People are being told that they have this MTHFR malfunction, and it kind of freaked a lot of people out. MTHFR is a rate-limiting enzyme in the methyl cycle, and it's encoded by the MTHFR gene. So when this gene doesn't work properly, or if there are variations of it that don't work properly, then that whole methyl cycle that we talked about that affects the detoxification, etc., doesn't work properly, and then you get a buildup of toxins and other things happen that cause disease. So people got very freaked out about it, and I've been hearing about it for many years. So when I was making the Realign, I decided, okay, it's going to have B vitamins, and I'm going to make the ones that are methyl Bs, I'm going to make them, find those substances so that we have methylated Bs, so that if a person has a MTHFR gene variation, they won't have a problem. The Bs will already be methylated. There will be methyl groups all ready to go into metabolic processes. And, we've had incredible feedback from our customers that's been working for them. There are methylated Bs out there, but they're usually not combined with other Bs, or if they are, they're synthetic. So we use the food-based Bs and the methyl Bs, and we've had great success. And we just use low potency. We're not going after real high levels of the Bs. So that's me rambling on, Ginny, as my brain sort of attacks a question. What did I leave out?
I think you did a great job of attacking that question. I don't think you left anything out. It was very good, very thorough.
Okay, very good.
Thorough. Okay, now I want to share with you that Nancy, earlier in the conversation, we talked about digestive enzymes. That was in the first hour. Nancy M., one of our regular listeners, love Nancy, said, I just want to report Remag helped my stomach digesting greatly, and I was able to actually stop taking digestive enzymes. I had a slow stomach emptying, and Remag stopped that. I wasn't taking Remag for this purpose, though it certainly was an added benefit. And I do think one of the best things you can take for digestion is magnesium, because it was through you, Carolyn, that I learned that the reason why people even have indigestion most of the time is because they don't have enough hydrochloric acid to break down their food, and the body needs magnesium to make hydrochloric acid. So I remember when I used to have a lot of digestive problems back in 2014, 2013, I was taking Remag with a meal to be able to make sure that there was enough hydrochloric acid and stuff in my stomach at that time. And that really seemed to create a lot of relief for me. So there's something you can think about too, you guys, if you take it through the day. But in my case, I was also taking it with meals just to boost my hydrochloric acid in the gut. Now, speaking of more stomach problems, I guess we should probably do a stomach show here pretty soon. A lot of stomach questions. One of the questions Charisse asked, Carolyn, is, do you know if there is a book in which Dr. Dean discusses diverticulitis?
That would be in Future Health Now Encyclopedia for sure. And Charisse, we had to take it off the free list because, we talk too much about helping people, and the FDA doesn't like that.
We have too much homeopathy.
Yeah, and we put it on, we already had one issue up there, one version, but we put it on, and Ginny was just telling me today that we've tried to make it 99 cents, but because it's 600 pages, somehow they wouldn't allow us to kind of give it away. So at this point, the latest edition is $5.99, but that has everything in it. Now, and what you can do, Charisse, is just email customer service at support@rnareset.com and ask them if they wouldn't mind cutting and pasting the text of diverticulitis to you. We don't mind doing that. Okay, so that's that.
Absolutely. Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. Yep. Excellent. Vitamin D is also very good for the stomach and healing the gut. There are a lot of vitamin D receptors in the gut. So if you are, again, having that gut experience, make sure, if you haven't taken advantage of Dr. Dean's offer, I think Charisse has, but if you haven't, be sure to get your free testing kit from Grassroots Health. It's a $212 offer. Quite literally, Dr. Dean actually paid $212 for you for this test, but you can do your blood spot testing at home. You can find out what your vitamin D level, and if your vitamin D and magnesium level, you've got your TSH, and then you've also got your omegas, and all that information will be provided for you, and then you can adjust your dosing accordingly. I think the number one failure of all of our customers, even though, and I shouldn't say all, a lot of our customers, is they take the products, but they don't take enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, vitamin D, 10,000 IUs a day minimum right now, ladies and gentlemen, for everyone on the face of the earth. You should not, unless your vitamin D report is 90 or higher, for anybody over the age of 50, you need to be sure you're pounding your vitamin D. You've got to adjust your magnesium in order to accommodate that. You definitely want to make sure you've got your omegas going in with that, and you get all those things together. Your gut is definitely going to respond in kind, and you're going to have a lot better way of getting digestion completed and healing the gut. In the case of diverticulitis now, one thing, Carolyn, this must be the Pico Silver show, because we've had several people heal their stomach of diverticulitis with Pico Silver.
Oh, okay.
Remember that?
Yes, good point. And I wonder if I have updated the latest version about that, because Pico Silver will go in there. What happens with diverticulitis? It's little outpouchings of the the diverticuli of the gut. I mean, how can you describe it? You just look at a picture of the anatomy of the gut. It's not one tube like your garden hose. It has little bafflings. It's like, what's the curtain that it looks like, Ginny? Little billowy curtains that you have a little tuck every few inches. And at those tuck sites, you can develop a weakness, and especially if you're constipated, then you can get these outpouchings, and in the outpouchings you can develop a little infection or inflammation that causes you pain, and that, heaven forbid, in the extreme case, it can rupture. So Pico Silver is going to go in there and help with any infection and inflammation. And Remag is going to be helpful with the inflammation too. But yeah, you're right about the Pico Silver. And I'll have to check the book and make sure I talk about that.
Yeah, because I know diverticulosis is very painful. A lot of people have it, and their stomachs get cramped up in their sides, and they eat a peanut or something like that, and it drives them crazy. But I'll tell you what, Pico Silver, definitely a lot of positive reports about that with that. So Charisse, that's a heads up for you. Yeah. Hopefully that will be supportive if that's you or somebody that you care about and you're asking on their behalf. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. More solving all the problems of the world, Carolyn. I mean, is it just great or what?
It is. And, it does seem that we have to, remind people over and over to take enough. I think what happens is people will look at the labels. We have to make our labels to accommodate the FDA, who wants us to use or recommend the least amount of our products for people. And people look at the label and think, oh, that's all I have to take. And when they finally get to customer service, if they do come to us, we will mostly tell them, well, you need more. And that happens over and over again. Now, if we don't have a phone call, I have a case that I can report on if you like.
Okay, let me just try 256 one more time. This is the old college try, as my dad would say if he were here with me. We'll give it one more try. Area code 256. We're asking you to unmute using *6 to talk to Dr. Dean tonight. If you're still interested, area code 256. Okay, well, we're going to let that go. All right, I think we're caught up on all our questions on the chat line, Carolyn. So I feel that, yes, you should probably... Yep.
I call it a teaching case. So Steve, a customer of RNA Reset products for several years, began with Remag after reading the Magnesium Miracle, continued to add supplements. He says as he became confident in what he was taking. And that's what we find. You start with Remag, you feel, so much better and think, oh my gosh, I should keep trying other things. He says he's 70 years young, weighs 165 pounds at 5'11", so that's a good weight. And in January, he retired and began a regular intensive workout, lifting weights and doing treadmill at the local Y 3 days a week. So he says, I take the following supplements: 1.5 teaspoons Remag, 3/4 in the morning, 3/4 at night. And so when I read a case like this that customer service sends me, I don't read the whole thing. I start from the beginning, and when I see something, I'll comment. So I commented, you haven't said if your symptoms were better on those products and are now coming back, but I'll answer based on what I know. 1.5 teaspoons of Remag equals 450 milligrams, and it's barely the very low RDA for men. So it's not going to be helpful if there are obvious magnesium deficiency symptoms. Also, you began intensive workouts in January, which will cause more need for magnesium by the muscles and from your extra sweating. meaning more loss of magnesium. So your requirements could have doubled. Also, taking shots of magnesium is not the best practice. It's best to put Remag, Remite, and any other of our minerals in a liter of sea salted water and a scoop of vitamin C reset berry powder for taste, and drink that throughout the day. Shots of Remag will only be partly absorbed because the cells will be saturated for a period of time, and the overflow will go out in the urine or bowels. It's a waste and inefficient. And I finished by saying I would recommend 3 teaspoons a day of Remag. He says, I take half a teaspoon of salt 3 times a week in my water that I take to my exercise workout. So, I mean, I don't know if that's all the sea salt he takes, but I say, in my opinion, this is not enough sea salt in drinking water guidelines. Take your weight in pounds, divide it in half, drink that many ounces of water per day, more in the first 2/3 of the day to avoid getting up at night. In each liter of water, including your mineral water, put a 1/4 teaspoon of a good sea salt. That means one that has some color to it, pink, orange, gray, etc., which means it's not refined to pure white with no minerals except sodium chloride. And then he says he takes 1.5 teaspoons of Remite 1 time a day. So I say good, but putting and he says it doesn't taste so great. Putting vitamin C reset berry powder in your mineral bottle will solve that problem. He's taking a 1/4 teaspoon of Pico potassium. And I said, that's way too little for someone with heart palpitations. I think I determined later he was still having some heart palpitations. I said, I personally take 1 to 2 teaspoons a day. You can check your dietary intake of potassium. Read my Pico potassium book at dearcarolyndeanlive.com. He says, I take a scoop of vitamin C powder a day. I said, good, put that in with your mineral water. He says he takes 1 Realign. I say, okay, but 2 is better. And he says he's been taking a vitamin tablet, omega-3, a D3, and a B12, and a glucosamine for joint pain and health. I said, for the synergy of all my formulas working together, when you run out of the above, switch to our D3, K2, omega algae, take 2 a Realign to give you enough B12. And I say you won't need a vitamin tablet because you will have everything in what you are taking. Vitamin A and E are in the omega, for example. All the Bs are in Realign. So, this is sort of the advice that I give on every show. And people aren't listening to the show. They don't get this information. So this is what customer service does day in and day out, is remind people of all the nutrients that we do have. But here's what happened. At the first of this year, I began experiencing rapid irregular heart rhythm events occurring once and sometimes twice a week. I met with my, primary care physician and was referred to a cardiologist. I wore a chest monitor for 3 weeks. The report came back with a diagnosis of atrial fibrillation and flutter. And I said, this coincided with you retiring and beginning an exercise program, both stressful and depleting of magnesium. And then I said to him in this report, I have never thought of retiring, but I wonder if people equate it with death. When people retire, sometimes they don't last that long because they haven't planned what they're going to do or, whatever. But I mean, that's an extreme statement. So I told them to reread my heart health book. It will, at the very least, help remind you that you need more Remag and Pico potassium. So then the cardiologist, he says, recommended 25 milligrams of metoprolol, which is a beta blocker to slow down his heart rate, and Eliquis, which is a anticoagulant. He said, I've reached the age of 70 without any known health issues. I was married for 46 years. My wife passed last May due to cancer, and learning to plan and cook all meals has been a challenge. But he said, I would prefer to fix my irregular heartbeat with nutrition and supplements than take a pharma pill. And I said, I'm sorry to hear this, such a stressful year for you. I would suggest adding our restructure meal replacement for the meals that you might otherwise skip or skimp on. And he said, at this time, I have decided to fill the prescription for the metoprolol, but decline the Eliquis. Instead, I'm taking 2 baby aspirin. And I said, you don't have to change any of that, but as you get better, your EKG will improve and you should not need the metoprolol. Now, what I say in the beginning of the heart health book is that the heart starts to weaken and get out of sorts from magnesium deficiency by causing a tachycardia. It starts speeding up. It's like desperate trying to get more nutrition. I don't know what, but tachycardia starts it all. And that's what happened to him. And I didn't tell Steve this in the report I sent, but I personally would take nattokinase. It's a natural blood thinner. And I mentioned that in the heart health book because aspirin does cause internal bleeding. So he wanted my opinion, and I said, we never tell people to stop their meds. And he's sent his vitamin D test, and it was low at 33. I said it's better to be 55 or 60 and 90 if you want to prevent prostate cancer. His blood glucose was elevated, 117. It should have been 90 to 100. And I said, this can improve with the extra Remag, the Remite, and restructure, and stopping sugar. His cholesterol was good. That's probably why they didn't put him on statins. And he said he went to his chiropractor, naturopath, who said, oh, it's your sugar. That's the problem. So I put him on a bunch of things, and I said, I find that the above recommendations of our formulas are enough for blood sugar. You can read my diabetes book. And I said, about all the herbs he was given, I said, I don't have to recommend anything besides our formulas. And he asked if I agreed with his chiropractor about his glucose being the instigator of his rapid irregular heart rhythm. And I said, not entirely. Stop sugar, take more Remag. Magnesium deficiency can cause symptoms. And if you have yeast overgrowth from your higher levels of sugar, the yeast can cause an increase in toxins that stimulate the heart. You can read my yeast book and my sugar book for more input. And he said, do you have any recommendations for me? And I said, I probably gave you too many. And that was that. So Ginny, we have 1 minute left for you.
I'm just here hanging out with the gang, having a little chitty chat about infrared saunas on the chat line with YouTube, and hanging out with everybody on chat. But it's been a great show. Lots of great content. Remember, everybody, we won't be here next week, but we will be back the following week. And I don't know, Carolyn, do you think we should do something on the gut?
Maybe, but infrared saunas, if they cause you to sweat a lot, you're losing your minerals. So beware of that. Take more minerals if you're using infrared saunas. And yeah, we didn't we do a gut webinar at some point? We should have. We should have.
Yes, we did. I think that was a couple years ago. We might. We'll figure it out. But we will be back in 2 weeks with another great show for everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate you. Love Rachel. Love you, Deborah. Thank you, Bob, for always being there. And thank you, Carolyn. Great show.
Great show. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everybody. Aloha.
Aloha.
listening to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show. For questions about today's broadcast, email Dr. Dean at questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy.